Hey guys, what's up? It's Sachika. Welcome to my channel. I hope you're having a great day and let's get into it. Sorry, I keep moving. I'm not used to a chair like this. So if you clicked on this video, looking at the title, you're either a Twilight fan, a person who used to be a fan, or a person who's deciding whether they want to watch it or not. So, quick disclaimer. 1, I made notes. 2, I don't think I'll be putting in movie clips. Yeah, because I'm just not good with that style of editing. I don't particularly like putting in clips from someone else's video or whatever. I know I haven't done this style of video before anyway, but I don't think it'll be good if I try. I'm not a review channel. This is just something I decided to do on a whim because I was feeling like it. And also, when I first read the Twilight books and watched the movies, I was insanely in love with this series. So that's the perspective we're gonna get today. No, I am not still insanely in love with the movies. This was just me at 13 or 12. 13. I was in grade 7, I think. Yeah, 13. I will be reading off my notes. I did make notes for every single movie. I sat through that and I made notes. And this is very objective because I just realized that I was in love with them. And oh, also, I'm Team Edward all the way. Okay, cool. Let's get into it. So I'm going to start with movie 1, and I have a couple of side notes as well which I will sprinkle in there somewhere or the other because these stand for the entire series. Okay, so movie, and oh, this is not the books, it's just the movies. I know they're a little bit different even though they're probably one of the series that did the adaptations the best, I think, and the most accurate to the books. Yeah. Okay, so the first movie makes a very good point about how all romances start with lust. You're attracted to a person physically, and then you go out on a date and you get to know them, and then if you're attracted to their personality as well, that's when it develops into love. So Edward actually lusted for Bella's blood, and so that actually later developed into love. Which, like, eesh. It also does paint the characters as three-dimensional people. Like, they have so many sides to their personalities. The nice side, the angry side, the depressed side, you know, like actual people. A lot of times books tend to paint their characters in the best light possible. So, like, either they're always happy, or they're always angry, or they're always depressed. So it's always very one-dimensional, and that's... it's not very realistic, is it? While the story does do that, each of them has only one purpose in the story. Like, Edward's purpose is to be the creepy vampire who's in love with the new human girl, whatever. All of her friends are just, you know, Jessica and Mike and all of them. They're just there. And they actually serve no purpose. Bella is literally just there just to be in love with Edward. Jacob is just there to warn Bella off Edward and kind of fall in love with her. Charlie's just there to be the overprotective father, you know. It's... yeah. This... when I first watched it, I was like, ooh, James is a bad guy. He needs to be killed, so on and so forth. But actually, if you look at it, James and Edward are kind of similar. The only difference is that Edward then, first of all, Edward's nice about him liking the smell of Bella's blood, and James is just like, I want to drink it, so I'm gonna hunt you down and drink it, you know. And honestly, if Edward had not like restrained himself, he would be in the same place as James, like, you know, stalkerish and just kind of lusting for her blood. And it was strange to look at it that way, actually, for me. There's a scene where she's at a bookstore and she comes out and she's harassed by a couple of guys. Even though it was in like an empty alleyway, the bookstore, the shop owner, keeper person seemed like a nice guy. So if she had just screamed like any person would do instinctually, that guy would have come running and then those guys would have scattered. Like, she doesn't scream, she just kind of waits for Edward to come rescue her, which is so strange. Like, the first thing you would do is scream at the top of your lungs. Like, what? And Bella, even though she is the main character, she seems kind of so, like, such a bland character. Like, she has no personality. Like, I know this contradicts what I said earlier, but she's like, her main focus seems to be Edward. And Edward, Jacob, even, like, literally even Jessica has more of a personality than her. Jessica is, you know, the popular girl in school, and she likes this Mike guy, and she's gonna do anything to get him. And, you know, she doesn't like Bella because of that reason, but she's also friends with Bella. Like, oh, you know, she has a full-fledged personality, but Bella is super bland. Like, the only reason she's there is what? To be tempting to Edward. That's so strange. Oh, also, Bella's like a really bad friend too. Like, the second she gets together with Edward, she just forgets the rest of her friends. Like, they just don't exist for her. And this is true for the rest of the movies as well. She just like forgets about the rest of everybody except the Cullens, which is like, why? Why? Oh, and you know the part where she kind of like, because James is tracking her and she has to get away, she kind of like fights with her dad and leaves and insults him and stuff. Like, there was no need for that. All she had to do was call him up and say, my friends have planned a super impromptu trip, or like come home and say, my friends have planned a super impromptu trip and I'm just gonna go with them right now and I will be back in a couple of days, I'll call you every day, all of that crap. Like, she didn't have to be so mean to him. And he seems like a pretty cool dad. He would have let her go, I think. Okay, and y'all know what happens in the rest of the movies. Okay. Moving on to movie number 2, which is New Moon. I really like this about the movie actually. The time where she believes that Edward doesn't like her anymore and is leaving because he doesn't like her anymore, and Edward, you know, at the end Edward says, oh, you're so dumb, you believed it so easily. But it's such a good reflection of a teenager's insecurities. Like, honestly, I know a lot of my friends who are very insecure about their friends and, you know, their boyfriends and girlfriends. Like, you have this constant nagging at the back of your head that said, oh no, this person doesn't really like me. So when she believes him, when he says, I don't like you and we're just gonna go, and, you know, when she believes him, and, you know, in like a second. And that's such a good reflection of a teenager's personality, honestly, with that teenage angst. So I feel like in the entire movie, the most amount of personality she shows in the entire movie is literally twice. Once when she's like, she goes cliff jumping and she gets this rush of adrenaline and she's super happy. And that's like, yeah, that was like 1 second of flash of personality. And the second is when she kind of leaves Jacob and goes to rescue Edward. Like, she shows kind of strength of character. It's just like, he needs me, so I want to go now, even though he hates it. I know the reasoning was weird, but yeah, the depression that she goes through, there's this whole montage of the camera just going, she's sitting in a chair and she's like depressed and she's looking out the window and the camera is just going round and round and round. And it's like all the different movies and all the different months, and it's, the depression thing is okay and it's normal for anyone, and, you know, but like, I really wish the author had taken the opportunity to kind of show people getting actual help for their mental health. Like, I know that would have been really ahead of its time. This book was written way before 2008 and the movie was made in 2008 and released in 2009, whatever. But, you know, it would have been kind of good to kind of destigmatize going and getting help, going to a psychologist. And honestly, anyone's parents who sees their child going through this and kind of waking up screaming with nightmares and just sitting there doing nothing, looking depressively out of the window, they would want their child to get help. Like, mental health is important, and especially when it's like this, they would literally tell them, go to the hospital and go see a psychologist. Like, and they dated before this for like a maximum of 4 months, if I'm not wrong. Like, they dated for 4 months. People have relationships for years and they break up and they're not this depressed. And I know you can't say that, oh, you can't, anyone can say that, oh, you can't measure the degree of depression or based on the time they dated. But seriously, thinking about it, just think about it logically. It's insane. She literally spends more time depressed than she did in the relationship with him. Like, also, she's such a fickle friend to everybody else. Like, she spends time with Jacob in the movie only because Jacob is helping her with her thing. And yeah, later when he turns into a werewolf, she kind of goes and looks for him and so on. But like, that's only because she needs him. And you know, she like asks Jessica to go out with her once. And what about like Mike and Angela, right? Is that her name? Someone. Angela and the other guy, Eric, was it? Like, she started dating Edward, she stopped talking to them, stopped interacting with them, stopped sitting with them, nothing. I have one of these for the next 4 movies. Like, each of the movies, I have an alternate name suggestion. And I'm gonna air quote this and read it out in what I thought. There's a girl. She gets obsessed with one particular monster every book. I mean, like, whatever. Monster every book. They fall in love with her and torture themselves. And no one else exists. End of air quotes. And, okay, Bella is such like a solid to Jacob about things that he can't control. Like there's this one time he was like, oh, what, I'm not the right kind of monster for you. And like, that's so accurate. Like, but generally, like, he's so nice to her and she doesn't give him a single reason to do that. Like, and you know, when he like turns into a werewolf and she goes and she chases after him and she's just like, oh, you had mono, or whatever that scene is. And then, you know, like, he kind of gets angry and he turns into a werewolf. It's like, he has no control over that. It's in his genes. And, you know, if his family and the rest of his tribe, clan, whatever, like, forbid him from saying something, he has no choice but to, like, not tell her. Which, like... Oh, so the end where Charlie and Bella have, like, that father-daughter moment. You know, she's lying in bed and he comes in, whatever. That moment was literally the most wholesome moment of the entire movie. Maybe even the entire series. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, it was the best moment in my opinion. And then Edward asks her, he's not gonna forgive me easily, is he? And my thought process at that time was, easily? You'll be lucky if he doesn't shoot all through your head. You hurt his daughter so badly. And there are these like 2 times when there are these close-ups into like Jacob's eye and you can just see Bella in that shot, but it's a close-up of Jacob's eye, and it is the cutest thing that they could have done. I think it kind of shows how much he likes her, and I don't know, just really liked it. Movie number 3, Igloo. In this entire movie, Charlie is so sarcastic. It's the best thing ever that his sarcasm gives me life in the movie. Like, I'm not kidding. The best part of this movie was that one scene where Edward drives into the police station and like he has this like swerve and he just parks perfectly straight, and that is the best moment in the movie. You can't change my mind at all, ever. So I hate that there's this thing where, you know how Edward was trying to like protect her and he kind of hid stuff from her about how they were tracking the situation with Victoria. Like, I hate how there's this trope where if someone wants to protect you, they have to like hide stuff from you. You can protect the person by keeping them in the loop so that they don't go and do something stupid. It really isn't that hard. And Nikki Reed's character, which is Rosalie, I think has the most amount of personality in this movie. You know the part where she's explaining what happened to her in her human life and how she took revenge and all of that, and how she's telling Bella that you're making the wrong choice and this is why. I think that's like, she is the best and most well-developed character in this entire movie. You know? I think you know. You know. Also, everybody somehow forgot that Jacob is only 16. Just forgot. He's actually only 16. Like, he keeps saying that Seth is kept at home and Seth is going to school because he's 15, but he's only 16. I don't understand. Also, Alice is the best character in this series. Like, the best character ever. If you watch the movie and you see the part where like Edward proposes to her in the bedroom, it looks like he's in physical pain. Someone's like stabbing him, and I know that's like his character and stuff, like that's just the way he is, but like seriously, isn't this supposed to be a happy thing? Aren't you supposed to be happy when you propose to your girlfriend? I don't understand. And you know the part in the hills where she asks Jacob to kiss her? Edward lets it go, but everybody else, like the entire audience, like everybody just somehow forgets that she basically just cheated on her fiance. And he knew about it. This isn't realistic at all. Like, even if someone was engaged, like in real life, and they went out with their friends and they got super drunk and they went out and kissed another person, their fiance would get super, super mad. If not, like, break up with them, even if they had the excuse of being drunk. Like, oh, also, this is my title suggestion for this movie. Emmett and Paul being the best crime-fighting duo ever. You see the coordination? Like, I know there was the scene when they were chasing Victoria and then Emmett and Paul got into a fight, but in the final fight, they have like the best coordination ever, and I think that's in the books that continues through the rest of the series as well. Not in the movies, but definitely in the books. Like, movie number 4. Breaking on part 1. This is the one where she's pregnant. Okay, honestly, if my period is late by, how many days was it? Like 2-3 days, and I'm puking up, my first thought process would not be I'm pregnant. Honestly, like, if my period is late and I'm puking, it would be I'm stressed sick. I'm stressed and sick. It's not, what? Why is your first assumption I'm pregnant? What? The wolves in this, the werewolves, they are the prettiest, most majestic characters. You know, like there's that entire scene where all of them are like in that area where Jacob fights off Sam and so on. I was, okay, they are the best looking characters. They're so insanely beautiful. Like, honestly, I don't blame Sam for what he did or what he was going to do. I know he's supposed to be like the main villain of this part of the story, him and, well, Bella being about to die, but it's like, I don't blame him. What he wanted to do was protect his pack. You know, like, okay, so for the Volturi, their intentions weren't good. Their intentions were acquiring Edward and Alice. But Sam's intentions were literally just protecting his pack because he didn't know what was going to happen, and uncertainty, right? Even though the Volturi used that excuse, that's not their true intention, but it was actually his true intention. Oh yeah, alternate title suggestion again. The alternate title suggestion I have for this is the Cullen family being the best family Bella could have ever asked for, and more. They don't go hunting, but they still serve her blood. Charlie is constantly looking after her. Alice is not supportive because she doesn't want Bella to die. Rosalie is supportive because she realizes what Bella wants, and she also realizes that Bella has the chance of having what she never has. yeah, the Cullen family is amazing in this movie. They're so supportive and so nice. And even Esme, like, okay, Esme's also a really sweet character, even though she doesn't have that much of a personality or a presence in any of the movies, but still, right? When Bella goes into labor, her back literally snaps into, I don't care what you say about vampire venom, that nobody should be able to come back from that. That's insane. Her back snaps into. And in the end, when she like transforms into a vampire, don't we all wish we had that kind of concealer? They just like covered up her eyes, her dark circles, like instantly. I want that. Bella shows more personality in this movie than the first three combined. Like, it was suddenly like Stephanie Meyer decided that this is the last book and you have personality now. Honestly, I don't blame Kristen Stewart. I think she's done an insanely good job with Bella, like in the acting. But the character itself is so bland that in this movie suddenly it's just like boom. And you know, because she fights Edward and she fights Alice and she fights Jacob and she gains support from Rosalie and she stands her ground on her baby, all of that good stuff. Like, insane personality. I know it's all about like mother instinct, but in the fifth movie at the start when they go hunting, they're running at incredible speeds, right? Like insane speeds. Her hair looks like it's, you know in those shampoo commercials you have like fan air blowing at you and your hair just like flies so prettily. Her hair looks like that while she's running at insane speeds. I feel like her hair should be like all over the place and like a complete mess. I know it's not like that to contribute to the fact that vampires are basically perfect, but like maybe just a little bit more realistic would be nice. Then when she finds that camper guy and she like runs up the hill and then Edward follows her and he's just like, oh, let me help you get away or whatever, and she's just like no, and she just jumps off the cliff. It was the best rejection I've ever seen, ever, like ever. Then later when, you know, once she's met Renesmee and then she fights with Jacob just like, he literally says that's gone now and she was the reason, like, and Bella just lets it go. Like, what? 2 seconds ago you were going insane at him because he imprinted on your like 2-day-old daughter and he just said this is the reason and she let it go. Hey, you know, there's a moment where she like defeats Emmett in like an arm wrestling contest or whatever, and then she steps into the light and she has this internal monologue and she's just like, I was born to be a vampire. It's kind of vaguely like saying I was born to die. You know, Irina jumping into the water is like me when I need to interact with someone new. Me, all the time. Yeah, this movie is basically 90% Bella's internal monologue. You know, at the start, I was born to be a vampire. And later, when she was just like, the Volturi seem to accept my new status. And even after that, you know, like she just keeps monologuing in her head. Like, also, did anybody else while watching this movie forget that Carlisle is an actual doctor with a day job and he's one of the really good doctors in a really small town, so he's kind of important? Because I did. He doesn't go to hospital like ever. He doesn't do anything. He's just there. Sorry, that was my chair. Did you also forget that Renesmee is literally only a few months old when the fight happens? Not even a few months. I would say like 2 months old. Also that Bella and Edward are actually still newlyweds because she was pregnant for a total of 3 weeks. That makes them married about 3 months ago, like 4 months at the maximum. you know how Charlie meets Renesmee when she's like tiny and she's a baby and she's introduced to him, and like later when there are a bunch of vampires, Bella takes Renesmee to meet him and Renesmee is like 6 or 7, looks like 6 or 7 years old. How is Charlie okay with that like 2 months later? That's not human. What? This movie and book make like insane leaps for no reason. Like the way they've shown the fight scene, you know, where Alice like is showing him the vision, I was like sure that Carlisle was dead. I'm not even kidding. I was like 1000% sure in my head that Carlisle was dead, and I really liked Carlisle as a character. So suddenly I was like, oh my god, he's dead. And then when I first watched this movie, I had already read the books, and so I knew it wasn't real because like in the books Carlisle isn't dead, and they don't actually show the vision that Alice shows Arrow in the books. So it was like, I thought, okay, the movies sometimes like they deviate, so maybe just to add a little more plot they've like, and this is just the end, they've like killed off Carlisle, which is insane to me because he was one of the main characters, but still. But then like even this time, like I knew that, you know, I knew in my head it was a vision because I'd seen the movies before and I knew that they were showing the vision, and I know he's not dead or whatever. But like every time, when I say every time, I watched the movies 3 times or 4 times. Sorry, I was a little bit obsessed. So in this last one, you know, like every time I watch that, Kala, like his head snapping off just seems like it stuns me for a moment before it comes back to me that, oh, he's not actually dead, this is just a vision. Like, was it really necessary to do that? You know the scene where after Carlisle dies, the 2 sides are like running towards each other in slow-mo? That is the single most dramatic thing that has happened in this series. And also, this was the first time in the entire series that I realized that I actually liked quite a few characters which then die in Alice's vision, like Jasper and Cess and Leah, and like, yeah. Also, Benjamin, the guy who controls the elements, he is without a doubt the most iconic character in the entire series, except Alice. He is, he really is. Also, Bella's concentration and attention span is something that we all long to have one day in our lives. You know, like she has a battle raging around her, but she like puts singular focus on the person who's running towards Jane and like helps them. And the only time she gets distracted is when she's like knocked off her feet and she just kind of forgets about everything else going on around her. Like, that's some insane concentration. Last thing about the movies, like about the singular movies, every review that I watched so far kind of disses on the series credits, here are the black and white credits, but I really like them and I don't know why. Like, I just do. Okay, now I have a couple of series notes that I wanted to make. This is the only vampire fandom ever that makes it seem like vampire venom hurts. Like even in Shadowhunters, when a vampire bites you, you get like a high. In Vampire Diaries, if a vampire bites you, you get a high. So you keep coming back for more. But this one is like, it makes it seem like it hurts. And this is the only fandom that does that. This series, alternate name, should be called Alice is the best character forever and ever and you can't change my mind. That's it. The end. Another thing is, I love the songs in this movie. Like, adore them. I think they're really, really nice. Like, I really love the songs. It's 5 movies and 5 books. And now in 2020, I realized that there's not a single LGBTQ plus character in there. And she doesn't handle a lot of themes well, like depression and mental health and such. Like, it's not nice. The vampires have the best dressing sense. Like, Bella becomes a vampire and suddenly her style does a 180 degrees and she's suddenly stylish and fashionable. And I know it's because Alice stocked her closet, but like, seriously? It's not very realistic, is it? She could just go out and buy her own clothes or go back to her old clothes or whatever. Like, suddenly she becomes a vampire and she has a dressing and a styling sense. So one thing that I had to do was compare this movie to 50 Shades of Grey, because 50 Shades of Grey was a fan fiction of Twilight. Now, looking back on it, actually, I do feel like, except for the whole like sex part, Christian Grey kind of is based on Edward. But the thing is, with Christian Grey is that he's human. You know, Edward, like, he's a vampire, so it kind of lends to the fact that they're creepy and weird and they're considered monsters and the bad guys and whatever. So if he's stalkerish, it kind of like lends itself to his character. But with Christian Grey, he's human and he's a billionaire. He should have better things to do than stalk girls that look like his mother. Strange. And yeah. And if nobody had told me that 50 Shades of Grey was fan fiction at first, I wouldn't have known, honestly. I would never have been able to tell. Okay, that is it. I hope you liked it. I hope you had fun with this little bit of a retelling of Twilight in 2020. This is what I think of it now that I'm an adult, that I don't actually like the series anymore, that I am not insanely in love with Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson both. And I can actually objectively analyze it as a person in 2020. So, I hope you guys liked it. Bye! Characters as then stick, not stick.